Hello, everyone, and welcome to the United Stand. It's me, Faz, back with another show for you guys, the 8 p.m. show. Hope everybody is doing well and okay. I'll be touching on the Rasmus Højlund deal that is kind of imminent. The bid is going to go in very soon. Second bid going in for Andre Onana as well. And we'll be touching on a bit on David De Gea and how he's being treated. I'll be touching on Mason Greenwood being linked with Juventus and Atalanta as well. Is there a deal to be made between Atalanta for Mason Greenwood in return for Rasmus Højlund? Lots to talk about. Loads of players up for sale as well. Make sure you get your tea, dinner, whatever it is ready, and we'll get straight into it. I'll start off with this most latest news, which is breaking that Manchester United will bid with Atalanta for Rasmus Højlund, but the price that is being thrown around and the prices that is being quoted is 50 million British pounds for Rasmus Højlund. I wish I could do a poll, but unfortunately I can't do a poll. But if you ask me, 50 million pounds for Rasmus Højlund is a lot of money for the 20-year-old. A lot of money. It's way above what I would feel comfortable paying for a player as such. It's Manchester United's number one target. It seems like it is anyways, because Harry Kane, we can't because of the money. Victor Osimhen, we can't because of the money. Rasmus Højlund, we can. There is a deal to be made. 50 million pounds, as much as it's affordable right now for us based on the money that we do have, I still think that's just way too. I really don't think that deal happens for 50 million pounds as well, not euros, pounds. Get your super chats in nice and early. Let me know what you guys think of this deal. It's been a weird one. A lot of people have said they obviously want this player. I do. I think he has great potential. He has a great ceiling. He could become a great player for us under Erik Ten Hag and Benny McCarthy as well. Erik Ten Hag clearly wants the player, but where do we kind of stop overspending? What window do we stop overspending? Because we make some good deals and then we end up spending the money that we save on certain players on these other deals. Look, we saved money on Malacia, right? Loads of money, bought him for cheap. Some would even argue, I know Beth would say it, and I agree with her, that she would say, look, Andre Onana for 55 million euros, 50 million euros is a great deal, is a great purchase. And it is. It is a great purchase. And we are saving money. A keeper of that caliber right now would set you back 70 million pounds. So she's right in that. But if we're saving money on Andre Onana, why are we overspending on Rasmus Højlund? If you think about it this way, right? If you're going to pay 50 million British pounds for Rasmus Højlund, if we sell a couple of players, we could actually scrape the money to go and buy Harry Kane. It's like one of those kind of deals. I would, in an ideal world, love Harry Kane and Rasmus Højlund. That's what you want. That's what the big clubs will do. That's what the cities, the Bayerns, they will do. They'll have two strikers. We do need two strikers. What's going to happen with Anthony Martial? In all honesty, I don't want to see Marcus Rashford as a striker. I don't know how you guys feel about this. Next season, seeing Marcus Rashford in the striker position, I think let Marcus be the player that he is on the wing, give us the output that he can on the wing and score the goals from that position. Bringing him in the central position, who's going to play that left wing? Jadon Sancho hasn't really shown us levels yet. Is it going to be the likes of Bruno going on the left? Amad Diallo, could he see some first team minutes? It's a lot. It's a lot, I'll be honest. And it's confusing. It really is. There's no clear identity in terms of who's going to play the striker other than Rasmus Højlund if he comes in. And if he does, that would mean keeping Anthony Martial for another season. Are you guys willing to do that? Because if we do not have enough money to go and get another striker from wherever, if we are paying 50 million pounds, and what's to say the bid doesn't get rejected, by the way, as well? What's to say Atalanta don't turn around and reject this bid and end up asking for more? There were some stupid numbers being thrown about earlier on in the window, but those were fake numbers. I know loads of people were concerned, myself included. But I think we need to be making some shrewd business. There isn't really another big club with big funds looking at Rasmus Højlund, I'll be very honest. Whereas Andre Onana is a bit different. The keeper is desirable right now. He has had a fantastic season. He's been in a Champions League final. I know many teams that would love to bring in a keeper like that for his age as well. But then a striker is obviously going to be more expensive than a keeper. Sure, attackers are always more expensive. But is Rasmus Højlund 50 million pound worthy? because you know how Manchester United fans are. You know how football fans are in general. I can already see this picture where, let's say Rasmus, God forbid, misses a sitter, misses a 1v1. And then people are like, well, we overpaid for this Haaland from Wish. I can already imagine it happening. I can already envision it. I hope it doesn't happen. I really do. I think he'll be a great player, especially under Erik and Benny McCarthy. But we want to be counting our pennies. We want to be spending wisely. Why aren't we making the deal happen about Fred? Let Fred go. Let Scott McTominay, Maguire go. Use that money along with this £50 million that you want to pay for Rasmus Højlund, and then go and get Harry Kane. Rasmus Højlund does not guarantee you 20 Premier League goals. Harry Kane does. If I gave you the option, yes or no, the chat, everybody in the chat, let me know. If I gave you the option, £100 million, you're guaranteed 25 goals, £50 million, you're not even guaranteed 10. You're not. Would you take that? Would you take that? Because me, myself, I wouldn't. I would go, especially at the season that I want to have next season. I would want someone to come in that central position in the number 9 position and give us loads and loads and loads of goals. And that's Harry Kane for you, or even Victor Osimhen. Plus, next season, I hope Qatar gets done soon, because if it does, we can be looking at the Gonzalo Ramoses of this football world. That's the type of strikers we want to be bringing in, along with Rasmus Højlund. At 30 million British pounds, 40 million pounds, Rasmus Højlund makes sense. But at 50 million, we're being taken for idiots. Look, it's like having a cake that tastes nice but doesn't look nice. That's how this window seems. It seems like it's gonna be a good window, but it doesn't really look like a good window, does it? That's just kind of my take on the Højlund situation. And 16 goals he's had, 7 assists in 42 game involvement, which is decent numbers if you ask me, for the team that he's in, for the league that he's in. It's very good numbers. But does it make sense to pay £50 million for a 20-year-old? We've been down this route. I don't know. A couple of super chats. Let me go through them. Big up to Ed Woodward, says, Fazinho, Lenkit, bro. Keep doing your mileage. Thank you very much. I am doing my mileage. I am preseason. I hope all of you guys are doing your mileage as well. Get on that treadmill. Get your preseason in. Yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying before the season starts. Darren, thank you very much for your super chat as well. Darren says, I think he scores lots of goals for us, but still think we need João Felix on loan to buy. Think it would be January transfer with Qatar in charge. I would love that. João Felix isn't even the topic. But Darren, I think you've mentioned João Felix to me before on a previous stream. I'm sure you have. Whenever you mention João Felix, my eyes light up, because that's the type of player I want in Manchester United. These are the type of players who should be in Manchester United. Creative, flamboyant, aggressive when it comes to going forward. They can take risks and chances. And just all around great player. And he's so young as well. Cameron with the super chat as well says, you say 50 mil is overspending on Rasmus, but then who do we get for that price as a striker? What other striker do you get for 50? Come on, man. It's not overspending. It's what we can get for our budget. But look, you are right. 50 million is overspending, but who can we get for that money? Sure. In the striker market, there's not really anybody for 50 million that you can go and get. There'd be 70 million plus minimum. But that doesn't mean we should spend 50 million on Rasmus Højlund. Just because there's no striker for 50 million doesn't mean the one best thing that you find, you pay 50 million. You pay the value of the player, what the player is worth. The player is worth upwards of 40 million euros. So why are we going to be paying 50 million pounds? The bid is obviously not gone in. So I am interested to see what happens when the official bid goes in. Is Manchester United going to pay that 50 million? This is just talks right now. The reports have come out from Sam Wallace from the Daily and Sunday Telegraph as well, saying, Manchester United will bid, and it just says when or whatever. It doesn't say anything as that. Same thing again. Manchester United believe that they can deliver Rasmus Højlund this summer for around 50 million pounds. Look, 50 million pounds, that's just the number that's being said. It could be that we start off at 42, maybe 42 million pounds. £40 million, I don't know, around that figure, and then work our way up if the bid gets rejected. Rasmus clearly wants this deal to happen. We've kind of established our main signing. It seems like, even though striker was the main signing in terms of everybody's number one, the most expensive signing has been done, which is Mason Mount. The second most expensive signing, Andre Onana, is going to get done soon. The first bid got rejected. Second bid is going to go in. And then comes the striker. Once we sell some players, then maybe we can make a push for a Amrabat or someone along those lines later on towards the end of the window. But I think all in all, three players, 150, 160 million pounds makes kind of sense. It's just, I just like Manchester United doing shrewd business. I want to be a club where we are buying players at a really reasonable value, and in 2 seasons' time, if we need to sell the player, we're not in a situation where we're losing out, because same things have happened with Fred, with Bissaka, with obviously Harry Maguire. Very unfortunate. Same thing has happened with Anthony Martial, who's at the prime age of his career, but is listed for 25 million, and that's lucky if we get 25 million. Don't want to be seeing that. And it's a very sad story when a transfer doesn't work out, when a player doesn't work out. And the best thing you can do is protect yourself by not overpaying. And like your super chat, you said, who else is out there? Just because no one's out there doesn't mean you should pay that. It really doesn't mean. Wages is another one as well. We put these players on some crazy wages, and it's hard to get rid of them. Let me see who else. Simon, is it? Simon says Hojlund 1 to 2 seasons more at Atalanta plus Euro 2024. His price will be a lot more. It's worth it now. We are paying for the potential. I like this comment because it's true. We are paying for the potential. If the player he's 20 years old, he's got a good 8 years before he hits his prime, which is a very long time. That's nearly a decade. We are paying for the potential. But can you be very honest? What potential have you seen? What is this great potential that everybody's seen? Because how old is Gonçalo Ramos? Is he not 21 years old? Let me just see. I think Gonçalo Ramos is 22 years old. So Gonçalo Ramos is 22 years old, 2 years older than Rasmus Højlund. And I can assure, and you guys will, I mean, I don't think many people will disagree, but Rasmus Højlund does not have or hasn't shown the same level of potential as Gonçalo Ramos. Please let me know in the comments, because Gonçalo Ramos has shown you levels. Gonçalo Ramos has shown you what a type of striker he can become in the world, in the international stage and in his league as well. He's more established. You have Kolo Muani on the other hand, 60, 70 million pounds. He's shown levels as well, international and nationally, and in his club as well. That's what you call setting levels. That's what you call potential, because you've seen it. Rasmus Højlund has not shown you the 50 million pound potential. He hasn't. I don't know where people get this potential from. I hope I'm wrong, but I hope he turns out a good player. I'm not against the transfer in itself, but I don't see this potential. That's just my opinion. I don't see the potential that 50 million is worth paying. Another super chat from Dari says, we can't get rid of both Fred and McTominay without bringing in another midfielder. We can't get rid of Maguire without bringing in another centre-back. I think centre-back one is an interesting one. Look, firstly, with the centre-back situation, I'll just touch on that quickly. One of the reasons why it's okay to sell Maguire and not bring in a centre-back is because Luke Shaw can play centre-back. This particular season, last season, Luke Shaw has gone up on a different level. He really has. He really has. How are you telling me a player who had a really bad injury in his career has come back from that, who had a really bad situation with a previous manager? Fans, a certain amount of fans were really on top of him regarding his fitness or, whatever it is. He's then come back from all of this. He signed a new deal at Manchester United, and he is bossing that left back. Of course he is. And then he's also bossing the centre back. That just shows you how good of a player Luke Shaw is. Really, really top class player. And we're very lucky that he signed another contract and he stayed, and he'll continue his career with Manchester United. I think, considering that, it would be okay to let Harry Maguire go. It would be, it wouldn't hurt us as much, because I would be much rather have Luke Shaw as centre back than Harry Maguire. In all honesty, all season, if that was the case, I would much rather. Um, I know we messed up the Kim Min Jae deal. That would have been a fantastic deal if we were faster in terms of selling players. I think that deal could have happened, but because we haven't sold literally no one from the first team, we have sold 0 players from the first team, except for Zidane Iqbal, who's not even a first team player. Um, and it's a shame. It is a shame that Kim Min Jae, is not a Manchester United player. If that money was made available, then I would have been okay. Yeah, no problem. Luke Shaw. I would prefer Luke Shaw, obviously, to play left back. But if push comes to shove, and we have to play Luke in the centre back position, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't. But I don't think we're gonna get centre back anyways, because we just don't have the money. We don't. Skydiving Heck says Man United paid for 44 million for Martial. Barca is looking to pay 40 million for a Brazilian league striker for Hojlund age. With that hype around him, 50 million is not bad. I like how you've put it. I do. You've put it in a interesting way. Yes, big clubs are paying huge amounts of money. Real Madrid have done that with Endrick as well. Big clubs are paying big amounts for future potentials. So yeah, I can run with that. I can. I just hope he turns up. And the thing is, these players that you're talking about, Barca, Real Madrid, signing these young players, they still want to develop them. They still have strikers in their squad, or they still have players, senior players in that squad. Whereas Rasmus Højlund isn't coming to be on the bench. He's going to start. At 20 years old, he will have to lead Manchester United to finals, to semi-finals, and he'll have to compete with the likes of Harry Kane, with the likes of Ollie Watkins, with the likes of Haaland, with the likes of Gabriel Jesus, Callum Wilson. He'll have to compete with these players, with these strikers, who will be looking to put numbers on the board, 20 goals, 25 goals, 15 goals. Can you see Rasmus Højlund do that week in, week out, where he's playing 2 games a week, X amount of games a month, and scoring every 90 minutes or so? It's a big ask for a 20-year-old. It's a huge ask for any 20-year-old to be a striker, let alone number 1 striker for Manchester United, who are looking to go play in the Champions League and do well. What's the point of going in a competition if you're not looking to win it? We want to win everything. That's the standard. And if we're holding him to that standard, how fans are. Fans are going to be straight on it. They're gonna say, look, if you're not delivering, what we doing? Fans were so ecstatic over Wout Weghorst when he came. Oh, his touch is great. His link-up play is so good. He's good in the number 10. But then slowly we found out that the number 1 reason why Wout Weghorst came into Manchester United, he couldn't do. Literally couldn't do. 1v1 with the keeper. He couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Not on one occasion, numerous occasions. Aerial threat, non-existent. Ten Hag had to make him into had to put him in the number 10 to kind of make him work in the squad. I don't think Weghorst played the number 10 because he's better in the number 10. I think he played that because he just wasn't useful in the number 9. And that's what you want. And this same fan base will, mark my words, if Rasmus Højlund comes to Manchester United, especially to lead this line, and he doesn't deliver, we're going to be in trouble. We really are, because fans turn toxic straight away. They do. They do. The hype is there now. People are all giddy FC now. Oh my God, we're getting a young player, 50 million pounds, huge potential. January, February, when numbers are not there, what's going to happen? Big up to Slow Sports News. Thank you very much for the contribution. Says, best place for Maguire is the Italian league. Same goes for McTominay to Roma. I hope David De Gea does stay another year. Interesting. But expect him to be a backup for Onana. I don't think David De Gea is going to stay. I really don't. That's something I'm going to get into as well. I really, really do not think David De Gea is going to stay at all. The way he's tweeting, he's making his feelings clearly, heard right now. He's put, what is it, the juggling, like circus juggling emoji on Twitter. Then he's put the yawning emoji on Twitter. That just tells you a player who is really, really frustrated. Really, really frustrated. Um, I'm just going to touch on this actually whilst I'm even talking about it. Look, David De Gea's treatment is atrocious by the club. And the way the club treat David De Gea is something I can't control, right? It's not up to me how David De Gea is being treated by the club. But I'll tell you one thing. The way certain fans are behaving towards David De Gea is unacceptable. It's really, really sad. I don't care if he's cost you games because the same games he's cost you, he's also won us games. It's his time to go. And people are mocking me saying, "Oh, you're crying about this, you're upset." Of course I'm upset. I spend my entire life talking about Manchester United and enjoying Manchester United. I go to every single game. Of course I'm upset. It's our player. Well, not right now, but that's not how you treat someone who spent so many years in your club. You don't. You really don't. And people will say, control your emotions. Why are you frustrated on behalf of him? Blah, blah, blah. But when you've seen a player, make such great saves, it's just different. I'll be honest, it is different. He's spent so many years in Manchester United. He's had so many great memories. He's had some bad ones for sure. He's had some terrible memories for sure. But you take the good with the bad. And especially when a player or a person is leaving, you don't do this to them when they're leaving. I am so surprised how people are almost entertaining this treatment of David De Gea by the club. I would have expected the club to have an uproar, real uproar, especially now when social media is at the highest it's ever been. Everybody can have an opinion, everybody can gain a bit of following. I would have expected people to have serious rage why someone who's given a decade plus of their life in this club is being treated this way. Nothing to do with the money. It's nothing to do with how much he's earned. Nothing at all. The wages wasn't our decision as well, by the way. It was Woodward's decision, which is gone now. He's agreed to reduce his wages. What do you want him to do? If you want him to leave, which also I think it's time for David De Gea to leave and get a new goalkeeper, well, why treat him like this? Very, very simple. It's a shame. It's an absolute shame. Everybody knows this deep down inside. If you were treated the same way, after spending 12 years in an organization, you would feel very, very bad. Very bad. A couple of more super chats as well. Let me go through them quickly. Gaming Mo says, "Hey Faz, it's my first time tuning in to listen to you. You've clearly got some incredible knowledge, and I will definitely keep watching. I think the difference is Ten Hag wants Rasmus, got back Erik Ten Hag." Thank you very much for your kind words. I really do appreciate you, Gaming Mo. Thank you, and I do hope you enjoy the future shows as well. But look, Erik Ten Hag wants the player. We must back the manager. That's true. You are spot on there. And look, I hope Erik Ten Hag can make this signing work. The player is not bad at all. The player is a great player, good player who can become a great player. Excuse me, who can become a great player, but he has to prove himself. Just like Erik Ten Hag has to prove himself in Manchester United as well. He's done fantastically well with his signings last season. Malacia, fantastic signing for the money that we paid and what he can become as well. Great signing. Lisandro Martinez is obviously one of the best signings of transfer window period. Not just Manchester United. Lisandro Martinez is probably one of the best signings of last summer. Casemiro, a fantastic signing. An absolute fantastic signing. Eriksen, a good signing. On a free, got him in. Cool, done. Who else? Obviously, Anthony as well, someone who I'm a huge fan of. A lot of people, again, we paid ridiculously over. Like, who am I talking about overspending when we literally spent double the money for Anthony Dos Santos? Has he lived up to his 100 million? Absolutely not. He is not a 100 million euro player, and I can sit here and totally tell you that. But I still love the player. I think he's got levels to go up. He'll become that player under Erik Ten Hag. That's again Erik Ten Hag signing, so I'm getting behind it. But the signing is done, so I can't cry over spilled milk. I can't cry and say, "Oh, why did we spend that money?" When we did spend that money, though, I promise you, I had the same energy. I was like, why are we paying such an amount of ridiculous money for a winger who we know is not that guy? He is not the Neymars of this world. He's not the Salahs of this world. Why are we paying 100 million euros? But Murto and Arnold had to make it happen because Erik Ten Hag wanted him. And it's the same situation here is we don't have enough money, or, we just are in a limbo with the takeover situation. So we have to now pay up the money that Atalanta want. Hopefully, when Qatar come in, all of this stuff will be behind us. We won't be overpaying. We'll be making deals quicker. Everything obviously gets signed by the Glazers, has to go through the Glazers. The Glazers' pen has to touch the paper before any signing, any decision is made, which shouldn't be like that. It should be down to the board and down to the manager to make these things happen. I don't know why the owners get involved, but hopefully once this takeover is done, we'll find out. And that's another thing as well. Takeover taking absolutely ages. Ridiculous. I mean, Rio Ferdinand thought he had a fantastic source who confirmed that there'll be news coming up, but that was Friday, if I'm not mistaken. It's now Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, yeah, Thursday. Day after day is going by, and there's nothing about the takeover. Jim Ratcliffe quotes have come out saying he signed a non-disclosure agreement. Process is still happening. I don't know what to make of it, in all honesty. People think it's Jim Ratcliffe throwing, the white towel in and saying he's given up or whatever, but I don't think that. You never know with Manchester United, do you? Especially whilst the Glazers are in power. In a snap of a finger, in a click of a finger, things could change in Manchester United. We've seen this happen many, many times. Of course, I do think the sale will happen. I do think that will happen. But one thing that makes me confused as well, I'll be very honest with you. This has been playing on my mind. Glaze, is it Joel Glazer, if I'm not mistaken, or Avram Glazer, whichever one it is? Do correct me in the chat, guys and girls. One of them, along with Murta, are supposed to decide over Mason Greenwood's future. Well, if that's the case, and we keep hearing this thing about Mason Greenwood decision will be made. I've heard he's not going to be in pre-season, but a decision will be made before the season starts. I thought the takeover is happening. Well, if the takeover is happening, why is it down to the Glazers? And if it is down to the Glazers, and if the Glazers are looking to go with Sheikh Jassim, are they, one, going to leave that decision for Sheikh Jassim to make? Or two, are they going to make the decision before they leave? One or the other? Which one do you think? I don't understand. Why are you holding this decision? Care whatever decision you take, because I'll have to back Erik ten Hag. He's the person that will have to deal with this. If Mason Greenwood stays, Erik ten Hag will have to deal with it. If he leaves, Erik ten Hag will have to deal with it accordingly. He's not used him. Erik ten Hag has not had an opportunity to work with Mason Greenwood. So it's like he's not really losing a player, is he? So it's okay. But why is this decision taking so long? Lots is going on in the background. Transfer with Onana, transfer with Hojlund, takeover. But this situation has been going on for a long, long, long time. That internal investigation, I am sure, has been done, signed, sealed, delivered a long time ago. This is a very funny situation if you really look at it from a different perspective. Now, I'll tie this into the report that has come out that Manchester United, have had some approach from Atalanta and Juventus, who are interested in signing Mason Greenwood, which has been reported by tutoatalanta.com. I don't know how reliable they are. Get Italian Football News as well reports that Atalanta and Juventus are interested. I think it was Daily Mail or someone, Daily Mirror, I don't know, one of those, who had reported that Amad Diallo was reportedly linked with Atalanta as well. And the report was that Erik ten Hag is open to letting Amad Diallo go to Atalanta to make this Rasmus Højlund deal happen a bit smoother, a bit quicker. That's interesting because all of a sudden now we've just found out that Mason Greenwood is being linked with Atalanta and Juventus. Mason Greenwood had approaches from other clubs as well, top European clubs. But Manchester United still haven't made a decision what they're doing with this player. And I just want to know. I just want to know. I don't know. I think a loan move is the best thing that's going to come out of all of this. I don't really think he's going to stay in Manchester United for this season anyways. and then we'll see where the loan goes. There was something that come out as well, that the property that he's staying in is up for let. So that's a sign as well that maybe he might be open to moving abroad. We'll just have to wait and find out. But again, everything with these Glazers is just slow. Honestly, it's so slow, painfully slow. David Watson says Ras for 50 will be a bargain. Soon see him soon seen him a lot. Okay, David. Well, I'll take your word. I'll take your word. Ramos says Rasmus maybe no option because of his Twitter video. Don't know which one you mean. Darren says I think we need a more experienced striker to help Hojlund. Any ideas what you think of bringing Welbeck back? Is this Darren or is this Ricky? Because only Ricky would say something like this. Bringing Welbeck back. We're trying to go for Gonzalo Ramos, Harry Kane, Vlahovic. You're thinking of Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck's done well, though. Robin says, why is nobody talking about Vlahovic? Exactly what we need. Vlahovic as well. You know, Juventus do need to sell players. And what a time it would be to go and get Vlahovic. You know, Juventus have had a very crazy season themselves with points being deducted, and then they've appealed, and then they've come back, and then deducted again. Vlahovic is a good shout as well, but all of this would be made available if we had the budget and money. I promise you, if we had, let's say, 300 million pounds or euros to spend in the transfer market, we would not be looking at Rasmus Højlund as the priority signing. We would be looking at the Kanes, the Osimhens, the Vlahovic, all of those players, and Rasmus would come in on a 30-40 million pound as a second striker to develop. You don't bring in a 20-year-old to lead Manchester United. It's just, that's crazy. It really is. There has to be another signing in terms of striker who's a bit more established, a bit more proven, who can lead this Manchester United in the Premier League. It's a big pressure on this kid. Big pressure. And I hope he can take it. I really do. Oh, Zain Miasi's in the chat. Zain Miasi. Faz, score prediction when you visit Emirates. Can't see Weghorst and Co breaking down Saliba and Timber. Okay. I thought you would have. I didn't read your super chat before, so I don't know what to expect with you, Zain. But score prediction. Declan Rice. Havertz, Odegaard, Saliba, Timber. But then you do have someone who likes gymnastics in between the sticks. Ramsdale, who loves a long jump, doesn't he? Score prediction. 2-1 Manchester United. I'm always going to back my team, Zain, just like you. Always going to back my team. I don't think I don't think you will beat us next season. Yeah, I don't think so. I think Ten Hag is getting things right. Like I said, the cake might not look the best, but I can definitely feel like it will taste the best because with Onana, with Mount, and with Hojlund, with Rashford, with Bruno, maybe Amrabat or Lavia, who would be fantastic as well. I would love Lavia in Manchester United. I think we would be playing much better football. Onana is a much better keeper than Ramsdale as well. Martinez and Varane, fantastic centre-back partnership. Dalot, Luke Shaw, Bissaka, Luke Shaw, no problem. Bruno Fernandes, Odegaard. Yes, Odegaard is younger, better output, more goals, but Bruno Fernandes is an absolute machine. Casemiro, Partey, let's not even get into that conversation. I don't want to embarrass you. Mount, I can't say too much. I have to see because he's not had a good season. He's had a really poor season with Chelsea. He has to prove himself. Havertz, slightly better, but again, going to Arsenal, we'll have to wait and see. Anthony, Joga Bonito, as I like to call him, less of the Joga. I think Anthony scored on his debut, right, against you guys as well. So, and Rashford, obviously, Marcus Rashford is going to send someone for dinner. We know that already. So, yeah, there you go, Zain. Elena, any news on Donny van der Beek staying or going? Well, Donny van der Beek does have some concrete offers or concrete options from some European clubs. Erik ten Hag is open to letting him go. We just discussed it a few hours ago on the forum. If you haven't watched it already, make sure you go and watch it after this show. But I think it's time for Donny van de Beek to part ways. And some people will say Donny van de Beek didn't get enough opportunities in Manchester United. But as much as I would like to agree, I'd also like to disagree, because you have to show that you're deserving of the opportunity, right? Especially in training. If you do that in training, then sure, on match day, you'll get your chance. Don't forget, when Erik ten Hag signed for Manchester United, people were already thinking that Erik ten Hag, Donny van de Beek, match made in heaven. The gaffer already knows the player. He's worked with him before. He's a young player. He's got great potential. It's going to work. Injuries not helped Donny van de Beek. One. But then Donny van de Beek also had a period of time when he wasn't injured. Don't forget. And Erik ten Hag did give him some minutes here and there. But let's be honest, it wasn't wow. It wasn't the wow Donny van de Beek that we expected. It wasn't. How much more time do you want to give him? There are teams like Real Madrid who are looking to get rid of Chouameni after one season. It's okay to get rid of players if you want to be ruthless and cash in. It's okay, because that money could be spent elsewhere. Nothing against Donny van de Beek. His time at Manchester United just hasn't gone the way we would have predicted. It just hasn't. And it's okay to let go. Let Donny go elsewhere, and good luck with his career, and let us go move on with our squad. It's just one of those things. It's unfortunate, very unfortunate. And obviously that injury, it was so terrible. Do we give him another whole season? D Freezy says, I'd rather keep Donny than Scott. Interesting. If we can get rid of Scott McTominay, you know what? That's a very interesting, you've actually thrown me off a bit. Chat, get in, just let me know with one word. Donny van de Beek or Scott McTominay? Who are you keeping? If I gave you an option between Donny van de Beek and Scott McTominay, who are you keeping? Comment down below. Run up the comments. Let me see. Another super chat from Jensk says Ten Hag lost 7-0 to Liverpool at Old Trafford. Unforgivable. Well, what's gone is gone. The past is the past. Congratulations to Liverpool for their 7-up trophy, but it's unfortunate. It's happened. We put our heads down. We got punched. Absolute combination. I obviously really took the beating because I called out Liverpool. I said they're diabolical. Well, they were diabolical throughout the season, but then later on in the season, they did pick it up, but it wasn't enough for them to get Champions League football. Now you have Liverpool fans sitting there saying, well, Europa League might be a great way to find talent. Well, good luck finding talent in Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan and all of those areas, because clearly we found loads of talent, didn't we, last season? Good luck to you guys. But yeah, what's gone is gone. Zayn says, you missed out on Havertz, better than Mount. I love Zayn, Zayn. Zayn Zayn is a lover boy, Zayn is like Drake 2.0, because this guy really loves his players. Like, Havertz hasn't kicked 1 minute of football for Arsenal, and he already loves Havertz so much. Oh, Zayn, bless you. Bless you. Savage says, which one will we regret not signing, Kim Min-jae or Ramos? Ooh, great question. Kim Min-jae or Ramos? Ramos is still very young. We can still sign him next season, next summer, because he's not linked concretely with anywhere, or his future's not, certain anywhere. I think it's in the long term it'll be Kim Min-jae, because the price that Kim Min-jae was, the release clause, that's what's, annoying is you could have triggered the release clause and just swooped to the player, no problem. Absolutely no problem. So that's what's hurting. And instantly you buy that player is worth 70-80 million pounds or euros. So yeah, that one hurt, because Gonçalo Ramos in a season, he won't be more than 120 million, will he? Let's be honest. So maybe, I don't know, maybe actually saying that, but it's the Kim Min-jae, because we were linked with him as well. That's what hurts more. We were linked with him so heavily. Black Confetti says, sorry to hear you were Burgle Flask. Glad to see you back. Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words and your prayers. Zane says, Declan Rice cooks all those players, including Cass. Zane. Someone screenshot. I'm going to screenshot this chat, because come next season, I want to know where Zayn is after we're done with Arsenal in the 2 legs in the Premier League. And you know what, Zayn? I wish you and Declan Rice in your team good luck in the Champions League, because we know, Zain, you have Declan Rice has more European heritage than Arsenal. Let that sink in. Declan the Great Rice has more European heritage than the great invincible Arsenal. So good luck to you in Europe, Zain, next season. Really and truly. Because you will need to buy return ticket from Europe, because I promise you, you're going and you're coming straight back. You're going to Europe and coming straight back on the next flight. Because don't think you're going to end up in Champions League finals, Zain. I don't know on what planet you are, but that's not, yeah. No way are you going to go in Champions League semi-final or final next season. It's not happening. What do you think of Donny as a false nine? That's false football. What do you think of Donny as false nine? Says Ryan. That is false football. Honestly, false football. No chance. Uh, let's see. Another super chat from Ryan says Donny should be a false nine. Reminds me of Donny van der Beek. False nine reminds you of Firmino. I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. 90 says Bruno for captain, Glazers out. Well, this is a question I want to pose. If Harry Maguire ends up staying in Manchester United for next season, should we, or do you think Erik ten Hag is going to strip him of the captaincy and give it to Bruno Fernandes? Because let's not forget, one of his first ever press conferences for Manchester United and his first ever decision, I think it was his first decision, if I'm not mistaken, was Harry Maguire is the captain of Manchester United. He is going to stay the captain of Manchester United. But then throughout the season, Erik, I am familiar with your game, Mr. Ten Hag. What he does throughout the season, he goes on to say, well, Bruno is our captain. Bruno's the captain. In interviews, the captain Bruno. It's very interesting. He's clearly, thought this through, not to let the media get on top of him straight away as he signed in the biggest club in the world. Oh, what a big decision. England captain, great centre back for England, has been stripped of the captaincy by the latest manager of Manchester United. He's kind of eased it off. Captain regularly on the bench, not really being spoken about. It's okay because the football is decent. We did well last season, but come this season, it would be interesting to see who our captain is if Harry Maguire does end up staying in Manchester United, because it could be a possibility that he does stay in Manchester United. Wages is a big concern to try and sell him. It's a big concern, but we'll have to wait and see. I would love Bruno Fernandes as the captain and Casemiro as the vice captain. I'll tell you why. Bruno and Casemiro just have a way of injecting fear into oppositions. I know Casemiro ends up getting a red card here and there because of, a bit of aggression on the pitch, but I'm all for it. I am all for it. The way they carry themselves, especially those two, they are definitely captain worthy. Definitely captain worthy. Let me see the next super chat. Reagan Human says Zayn cursing Mount in the future when he runs through their midfield and scoring scenes. I mean, absolute scenes if that happens. And I know Zayn as well. I know Zayn very well. When Arsenal lose to Manchester United and Mason Mount scores and Havertz misses a sitter or something, and Ramsdale is doing long jump and high jump, Zayn is going to be nowhere to be found. I promise you, nowhere to be found. Quickly, Sam Wallace also reports that Manchester United are looking at potential sales of Harry Maguire, Fred, Scott McTominay, Alex Telles, Eric Bailly, Elanga, and Jadon Sancho. I don't know. I'll be very honest. I don't want to sell Anthony Elanga. I don't know why. I really don't know why. I think a loan for Anthony Elanga is a much more sensible thing than to just sell the player. Again, I might be wrong. I mean, what's right and what's wrong, but something just tells me don't sell Anthony Elanga. I don't know why. I really can't put a finger on it. Um, it's very young. He was supposed to go on loan. I think it was Ralph Ragnick when Ralph Ragnick just came into the club, and Ralph Ragnick said to Elanga, "You're not going on loan." Loads of players were going on loan, and he said to Anthony Elanga, "Don't go on loan. You're gonna stay." And he ended up staying and getting some minutes in the first team, and he's done okay. But I don't know why. I just don't think. I don't know. I'm really sorry, chat, but I just don't know. Something just tells me keep him. But again, another one that I'm really upset about is Eric Bailly, a player that I absolutely love and adore. At times, I've called him Kung Fu Bailly because of the tackles that he makes pre-season as well. Don't forget, was it not pre-season against Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken, when Eric Bailly took the ball from our half, from near our box, all the way to the opposition box, and I was like, who is this player? This is not Eric Bailly. This is absolutely not Eric Bailly. And it's again such a shame that injuries have riddled him all his career in Manchester United. And it's also been a problem in his lonely club as well. But yeah, it's okay. It's time for Eric Bailly to part ways with Manchester United. Jadon Sancho, one of them on the list, I don't agree with. I'll be honest, I don't agree with selling Jadon Sancho. Alex Telles, again, unfortunate, but it's okay. Time is gone. Scott McTominay and Fred, or Scott McTominay or Fred, one or the other. I would keep Fred. I would actually keep Fred. Again, lovely lad, Scott, but I just don't think he can take out. Just look at it this way: bare minimum, who's better off the bench, Fred or Scott McTominay? Fred is better off the bench. So if worse comes to worse, we had to keep a player just to make up numbers, just for squad depth. I'd keep Fred rather than Scott McTominay. Um, Scott McTominay does well for his international duties. Whenever he goes on international duties, I mean, the lad ends up scoring hat tricks. But I think it'd be better for Manchester United just to keep Fred. Don't forget, Erik ten Hag used Fred a lot as well last season, and then started rewarding him with starting minutes, but then again kept him on the bench for periods of time. It was a mix, but he got loads of minutes for Fred, and at times very underwhelming. At times he's literally made us sit and think, well, does Fred deserves to start because of the way he's played? Don't forget, all of these conversations were happening last season during the season. We were literally on forums on that set, sitting there and saying, should Fred start certain games? He deserves to be starting. He should be rewarded for his performance. Fredinho in some games, but in some games he's totally missing. So it's one of those things. But then he's had more good moments than bad last season. That's just how I would like to look at it. Whereas Scott McTominay, it's not really still had that moment yet for Manchester United. And I think it would just be better because we won't be losing money on Scott McTominay as well, will we? Because he's just homegrown. Whereas Fred, it would be a loss. Harry Maguire is, of course, the hardest player to sell right now, simply because of his wages, simply because of this wage structure that Ed Woodward has put us on. On other news, anyways, moving on. Dean Henderson is unlikely to join preseason tour on the when we go to America due to his desire to leave. Reports from Times Sport. How are we struggling to sell Dean Henderson? The player wants to leave. There is a club out for him, but yet again, Manchester United are holding off. Why do I feel like Manchester United are going to sell 3 players in 72 hours in the next couple of weeks? I just kind of see it happening. Manchester United will end up selling Henderson, Maguire, Fred, all in the space of 3 days. And I don't know what they're going to do with the money. But again, a player that should be an easy move for him, but we're not making it happen. Even Tom Heaton, poor Tom Heaton, wants to go to Luton, and he can't. He can't because we need to get Onana through. And once Onana's through, then we need to decide who's going to be our second and third keeper. Is David De Gea going to end up staying? Is he not? He's made a couple of tweets. Let's see. Let's wait and see. There's a growing confidence, as per Rob Dawson, that Manchester United will sign Andre Onana. I think, yeah, the growing confidence is growing by the hour indeed, because the second bid is going in, and I don't think it will get rejected. 60 million euros is too much as well for Andre Onana. right now, look, if you want to get a bargain, any other big club comes in for Andre Onana, that deal gets done in 50 million euros. It really does. But because it's Manchester United and there's the tax involved with our name, it'll have to go to 55 million euros. Rob Dawson also reports Manchester United are still planning. Listen to this. Manchester United are still planning to hold face to face talks with David De Gea to discuss his contract situation. He doesn't have a contract. His contract's finished. What situation? Oh my goodness. Club officials, however, don't think he'll accept being the second choice option should Andre Onana join. You just have to put yourself in David's shoes, really. What's to say David doesn't stay as second choice keeper? I would not mind David De Gea as a second choice keeper and having him play cup games at all, by the way, at all. Um, he's really good for a second choice keeper. He's one of the best second choice keepers you could have asked for if I gave you that option. But is he going to stay? One of the interesting things is David De Gea's contract, the deadline for pen to touch the paper is gone. The deadline was last week, I think, if I'm not mistaken. How come there's not been any movement in terms of David De Gea agreeing something with someone else? That's very interesting because as it stands right now, David De Gea isn't actually our player. He isn't. His contract's run out. So why hasn't David De Gea, or why hasn't reports come out of David De Gea being linked with other clubs? This is very interesting. You just have to look at it from a different angle here. Because Manchester United want to sign Onana. They're going in for the second bid. Not Tom Heaton. Dean Henderson is linked with leaving. He's not going to come on tour. So it might end up being Tom Heaton on tour or Andre Onana if we get that deal across within the next, few days. But where does David De Gea stand? What's very surprising is Saudi Arabia was linked with David De Gea, right? But I'm not hearing anything concrete. No club has said they're entertaining David De Gea. Should David De Gea decide to sign with someone else, it's always Manchester United are still willing to have face-to-face conversations, still waiting. What seems like to me, and by the way I'm painting this picture, is Manchester United will sign Andre Onana and then sit down with David De Gea and say, look, we've finally signed a goalkeeper. You are not going to be the number one. He is. Are you willing to accept this wage and be the number two? And if you are, then you can stay. I think Manchester United have told David De Gea to wait out until the Onana deal is done. I think soon as the Andre Onana deal is done, I think all of this David De Gea situation will be absolutely clear. It's a matter of days, in all honesty. That's just my take, and that's just my analysis from all of this is Manchester United want to actually sign a number one, even though they had offered a contract to David De Gea. Everything was agreed, but they pulled the plug because they want to sign Andre Onana. And once it's done, they will entertain talks with David De Gea. I just don't think it's the right way to go about it. Instead of making the Mason Mount deal first, you should have made the Andre Onana deal first and sort out David De Gea, either him staying or leaving, and then go and get Mason Mount, or do two deals together. Do Mason Mount and then do Andre Onana at the same time. But Manchester United like to work one negotiation a week, one concrete connections a week, and one signing a week. That's how Manchester United work. But that's pretty much all the latest news up until now. Thank you all very much for joining me on today's show. I hope I haven't missed any super chats as well. Let me just see quickly. Nick, there's a super chat from Nick. Thank you very much. Says, good to see Zayn back in the chat. He disappeared in the end of the last season. Can't think why. Oh, mate, Zayn is a character, mate. Zayn is a character. He pops up when something interesting's happening. If I'm not mistaken, was it not Zayn last season? Or was it the season before when Zayn said Arteta out? I'm sure. I'm very, very sure. I won't be mistaken. That was Zayn at some point. Kendrew says, keep up the great work, Faz. Doing great work so far. Thank you very, very much, Kendrew. And thank you very much to all of you who joined today. I hope the next time I am live on a show, I have some more signing news for you and some more news in terms of the takeover. Make sure you leave a comment on this video once it's up, and make sure you drop a like on the video if you enjoyed the stream as well. And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, because we will bring you all the latest news as it comes. But other than that, thank you all for staying with me. Have a good evening, and I'll see you all on the next one. Take